Ghost tax with property, it's a real thing. Stay tuned.
A little bit late. It's fair to say there was a ghost in the system.
Why are we late, Billy?
I told you, there was a ghost in the camera. There was a ghost in the typing.
So, Billy didn't do very well at school in English.
That's it.
And he just had it. What was the first way you spelled ghost this morning? G-H-O-S-T.
We got there in the end. Let's just say that, Mark.
G-O-A-S-T. Then we had to redo the feed. And then he decided to do G-H-O-A-S-T. And then we had to redo the feed again. And then now here we are. But Billy, I thought you would have been pretty good at English because you were English.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people used to tell me. It's funny. They got it wrong. What I am good at though is bringing the facts to you this morning, because we've got a pretty interesting article and topic to talk about this morning. Ghost tax.
Yeah, look, we make a lot of money as Australians, by Australian government, with international investment. So we thought, since the borders were open yesterday to tourists. Yeah. I think to 5 countries. It's a great topic to have this morning, because we're going to start seeing more foreign investment. And we just wanted to let everyone know what the rules are in case they've got any friends or family coming over, so they know how easy or how hard it is foreign investment. There's things like ghost tax, which we're going to talk about. There's things like more stamp duty. There's things like buying only 50% of developments and things like that. So let's get into some of these rules and regs on foreign investment into Australia. It's pretty interesting. Big money spinner.
It is. But I suppose to take it back to basics first, I didn't realise, Mark, initially I would have thought you'd need to be an Australian citizen or have permanent residency to buy in Australia.
Nope. But and the reason why I think we've lost our banner, Billy, the reason why it's twofold. I think as a country, you don't want too much foreign investment to come into the country, because it makes it unaffordable for an Australian. So at the same time, with trade and people coming in and out with talent that want to come to the country, you also want fresh blood and new blood to come into the country as well. Immigration is important for us as a country. As any good country in the world, immigration is important. So, they've made it, for foreign investment, they've made it hard, but not impossible.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit off air this morning. They've cut some of the shortcuts out that people were taking. And I suppose foreign investment, Mark, is no good when a property is sitting empty.
Yeah, so how does that? So that's ghost tax, yeah.
Yeah. So
how does ghost tax work?
That's right. Point number 1, ghost tax. It refers back to ownership and having the property fail to occupy or be, have someone living there for more than 6 months of the year. So if you don't meet that requirement,
less than, isn't it?
Sorry, less than.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you don't have someone living in the property for at least 6 months, then there's a ghost tax applied, and that's $5,000. It's a levy imposed per year.
So I guess that works out to what, $100 a week for a foreign investor. So what was happening was you're getting these beautiful buildings being built in the city or in different parts of Australia, and you drive past at night and there's no lights on in the building. Every person that bought it was a foreign investor. and every foreign investor wasn't living there. They were just storing their money a bit like a bank. So the government was like, you know what, we don't really want to promote that. We want to promote that these guys are using them, are coming to the country, and it's not just lazy money that's making it hard for affordability. We're going to recognise that, and we're going to hit them for a tax. So it works out to, what's that, $5,000?
Yeah.
About $100 a week. It's called ghost tax. It's real. And it's a part of our government's making affordability a little bit easier for us. Now, there's a couple of other taxes we want to talk about, which make this tax look like a baby. What's the next one, Bill?
Before we get there, though, Mark, I suppose not to nicely segue on to our next point. They're only allowing 50% of new developments to be foreign ownership. So that again helps with that problem of people using those apartments or projects as a bank account. Because let's be real, Australia is a nice, steady, politically steady as well country. It's a good country to do it in. So meaning if only 50% of that can be foreign ownership, it does help, affordability, and make sure the other 50% are more likely to be owner occupied.
Yeah, and I think it's just, again, another move the government's been doing. What else we got?
Do you want to go to the big one?
Yeah.
Capital gains tax.
Massive.
That's a big one. I think in some ways, Mark, that hurts people, in all walks of life. Like, that's hit everyone more recently.
Well, they're hitting the foreign investor on the way in, they're hitting the foreign investor on the way out, and they're hitting the foreign investor all the way through if they're not occupying the property. Good morning, Jonathan. There's legend talking about in his street there's 100 homes and 23 have been empty for 2 years. Yep, that's your ghost tax. They're going to get hit. So capital gains tax, Billy. What are they charging capital? And just so people understand, if you have a property that you decide to live in, and you're an owner occupier, and you bought it for 500,000 and you sell it for $1 million, you're not going to have to pay any capital gains tax. If you bought it as an investment property, and by the way, that's probably the only thing in Australia that you can do to make money and not pay tax. It's owning your own home. Now, in also moving across to, if it's an investment, you'll pay capital gains tax on half of the gain you've made if it's your second, third property. But if you are a foreign investor, in addition to those costs, you're going to pay what?
Used to be 10%, then they changed that to 12.5%.
They're getting you good. They're getting you real good now.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's making it, and that's, I think, part of these things, and there's a couple more for us to go through, but I think all of these things, when you start stacking them up, it's making it harder for these guys to buy. It's keeping, and I think Australians were really worried about so much offshore money coming in and that affordability, and I think a lot of this stuff came in about 5 years ago, so it took a year or two, and it really sort of stamped out and squashed the heavy foreign investment we were seeing. If someone's making an application to buy something in Australia, there's a board that they will go to.
Yeah, the Foreign Investment Review Board. These are the guys that are pretty responsible for overseeing all of this, and there is an application process. Usually there's a 2-week turnaround. Pretty quick. But another thing to think about, Mark, we haven't even talked about all the other side of the paperwork that goes for normal people buying property. Things like, pre-approval finance and things like that. I'm sure that adds in extra steps where you've got to have that all lined up.
Yeah, you're going to have a bigger deposit. You're going to be paying more interest as a foreign investor. So it's sort of making it a little bit harder there. Now, The king hit for foreign investors.
The king
I'm glad
hit.
this is an international this show because I'd be turning off a lot of foreign investors at the moment. But the king hit for foreign investors. Stamp duty.
Stamp duty.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so they changed that as well. So for a normal buyer, and I didn't know too much about this before we came on, but you were saying, Mark, usually it is 4%.
4% under a certain, I think it's under $3 or $4 million. Yeah.
And for a foreign investor, it is, did you say 12? 12%.
It's an extra 8% on top for the
That's
stamp
huge.
duty. It's an absolute whopper. So if you consider that amount of money, that is just on $1 million, you're gonna have to pay an extra $80,000 on stamp duty for a foreign investor.
Yeah. It's like you say, they're smacking you in and smacking you out.
Yep. They're really hammering you. So, but don't forget, I guess if the government wants to see more investment, if the government wants to see stimulate building, they can always remove some or part or all of these taxes. So they're not necessarily permanent things. But what a way to. Do you want some new news this morning?
What's that?
State Transit is blocking the Spit Bridge.
Fantastic. Are you going to get a boat to work?
Yeah, I cannot believe I've driven. Not that I'm driving. I'm sitting on the side of the road, but 20 years of driving over the Spit Bridge, I've never seen it blocked, and it's got state transit workers sitting on the road.
Yeah, so Mark's going to go jet ski into DY.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's another topic.
I'm definitely sidelined, but that is really interesting.
What to do? So when you're on the side of the road, are there a lot of other cars building up now, and you can't really turn back because you're all backlogged?
Let me ask my host, Mary, to turn the camera around for you. Mary, can you turn that camera around, darling? Thank you.
I can't see anyone, Mark. Where are they?
Can you turn that to single? So that's the whole. That's the. Can you Can you make that? Can you make that a solo layout? There you go.
Yeah. Is that them sitting there? Oh,
that
wow.
is blocking the road, and it says fire. It says Fireproof Australia. So yeah, that's the Spit Bridge going into the city today, and it is completely blocked by workers sitting on the road. They look like it says, actually, I don't know if that's state transit. Well, I think it may be because I saw the buses with their hazard lights on all at the front there, but it said Fireproof Australia. What does that mean?
It's a good question, but it looks like there's a lot of traffic there, a lot of people waiting to go to work.
That is the longest amount of traffic I've ever seen. My suggestion is if someone's sitting in traffic at the moment, go home, take a break, and do a U-turn, because that road looks like it's going to be blocked. Even if it gets unblocked now, it's going to be unblocked for a good couple of hours before it gets unblocked. Live news.
Thank you, Mary and
with
Mark.
Novak. Thank you, Mary. Mary's turned around doing the filming for us. You're a lovely lady, Mary. Yeah, hey, can you Google Fireproof Australia while you're there?
I
Why
can,
is
yeah.
Fireproof Australia? Oh, it's probably not going to come up, but yeah, there's no chance that anyone's going to get through the Spit Bridge at the moment. Yeah.
There's
Mate,
a
we'll talk
few
about
bits. There's a few bits that have popped up, but none that really relate to
Fireproof
the.
Australia strike, because it looks
Yeah,
like it's some sort of strike. So, guys, if you just tuned in, yeah, we're all blocked up.
still blocked on the other side. Not quite. Okay.
No, that's pretty good now, mate. That's a show.
Thank you, Mark.